bandolero.
All right, guys. This is a very special one, very intimate, very serious. So at the same time, we're back with Educate and Elevate. We're here. My boy Pablo.
What's up? What's up?
Good to be back, brother. Good to be back. I think we had a good week last week. Before we get started, those special announcements. We got June 10th. We're coming out with Educate and Elevate, its own event. It's going to be a mix of things, really. It's still in the creation mode, but we know for a fact that it's going to be a good turnout, and it's going to be packed with a lot of knowledge. So if you come in, you know you're walking out with basically a lot of nuggets.
Yeah, a lot of value is going to be provided. Great network. It's going to be our first event where it's just Educate and Elevate. So
yeah,
best believe we might bring out somebody.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting for sure.
Definitely have some stars in the house for sure.
Upcoming podcast, we have Georgie. She's a also a health expert for nurses. Teaches about finances as well.
Yep.
But Georgie's great. She's one of us. That's gonna be May 10th. So keep on the lookout for that one.
That one's gonna be special, especially for all the nurses out there that really just kind of need education, right? When it comes to finance, when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to building wealth, really, I think that's going to be a really good one. Georgie's a great sister of mine, so I'm really excited to have her on and really just kind of see how she's evolved from nurse to a full-time entrepreneur. So that's a big one.
That's a huge one. Yeah, obviously, going from W-2, 9 to 5 versus becoming your own entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's big.
That's a huge one. So that wraps it up. But yeah, welcome to this show. This show right here is actually special to us because we've been actually in the lab doing some research. And what's the purpose today, Pablo, of really what today's podcast is?
Yeah, man. Today's really going to be just highlighting Latino entrepreneurship, Latino finance, Latino growth. We really want to shine light on some statistics that Armando and I have been doing some research on, and really just the ethnic group of Latino culture and in the business world. And also a little bit of relationship and stuff like that, and ways that we could get better, ways that we could get better as a collective. And yeah, man, I mean, let's kind of dive into it. We were watching a video not too long ago, and we were looking at some ethnic groups that are leading in the world, right? And one of the ways to kind of measure success, I guess the easiest ways to measure success, quote unquote success, is by income, right? Average income.
Yep.
And when we got to give it off to India. India is actually one of the ethnic groups that are leading the world when it comes to average income in the United States. They're roughly about $120,000 a year.
Wow.
Household income. And as Latinos, you want to take a guess at where we're at, bro?
Out of everybody in the world, all ethnic groups
in the United States.
And you're saying India's number one. Where are we? All right, I would say 10.
So
we're at 10.
We're at about we're 60,000 per year
in roughly, household income.
In household income.
Oh, okay,
right?
okay.
So they're roughly doubled up on us, right?
Dang.
So as Latinos, what ways could we get better? However, I know that's it's a down fact, and we're not really up there, but obviously today we're gonna shine a lot of light on the growth of the Latino culture. And
that's
and
a
lot of
good
areas that we're kind of coming up.
That's a big statistic though. So if Indians, the household income, you said
roughly 120,000.
It's 120,000, and for Latinos, we're looking at 60,000. That's a lot.
That's a big gap.
So what you read? What are some of the things that Indians are doing? Shout out to the Indians.
Yeah, shout out,
my boy Robbie.
Shout out Ayush.
Yes, Ayush. What are they doing that we're not doing, or what's something is there a transparency difference that you saw?
There was that's a good question. I mean, there was a lot of things that we researched that they're doing as far as just educating themselves, right?
Okay.
We know that education is one of the things that leads decision making, right?
Yeah.
We want to make educated decision when it comes to our finances, when it comes to the way we manage our finances, what things we're investing into. And one of the major indicators was actually their workforce. What they actually what the leading indicator of their workforce is. Right.
Can you dive in on that?
Yeah, man. I mean, definitely one of the things that I kind of came across was that they're really into the world of management, business, real estate, things of that nature when it comes to the Latino culture, right? And there's no disrespect to our culture, right? But it's a different culture, right? We're more emphasized on farming, maintenance, construction, which is a major one as well that we're going to tap into in a little bit. But obviously, when it comes to what ethnic groups or what business industries, what professional industries are, generating more income, obviously it's going to be more of those types of industries.
I saw that it was STEM related. So STEM, is when you go to college and you pick a STEM industry, which in your degree is science, technology, engineering, and then math. So the majority of them go into STEM field related degrees versus Latinos, like as Pablo was saying, was more service based, agricultural, more, I guess it's just more the transparency, but I think there's really a push towards STEM because they know that's what's making the most amount of money. So it's kind of, it's given,
Yeah. And to shine a little bit of light, because we're talking about real income growth and things of that nature, right? Obviously, we just talked about Indians being at about 120,000, Latinos roughly at 60,000. I do want to shine a little bit of light on the Hispanic population and the milestones that we've been hitting recently.
All right, positive.
This is a big one, is that since 2005, at least 29% of real income growth in the United States has been generated by Latinos, right?
Damn.
So that's actually a pretty cool statistic, is that, let's just call it, since 2005, roughly 30% of income growth has actually came from us, the Latino community.
In the U.S.?
In the United States.
Okay.
In the United States. So
that's good.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we're going to be talking about.
Pushing.
Yeah, when it comes to like real stats of Latinos up on the come up.
Right.
And I think that's a really big one. Obviously, Latino entrepreneurship, the Latino community in general, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur.
Well, I could see that too, because if we're pushing that strong, definitely tip our hats to ourselves. But in California, we have now surpassed as the largest population in California.
As he throws the hat on.
Yes, I throw the hat on.
There you go.
This is the census of 2020. Whites have declined because they're the largest at 30. Now they're at 34.7. Latinos are now at 39.4. So, ciao. We are now the largest population in Cali, baby.
Let's go.
That is no surprise, though. You go to LA, you're going to see Latinos everywhere.
All over the place. Even San Diego. Shout out to our boy
Shout out
Jose.
Yes.
SD, right? So I used to live in San Diego for a little bit of time. And out there, I mean, bro, it's La Raza is huge out there.
Huge, bro. Huge. I mean, make babies not... Make babies not war, that's what we're about, man.
Yeah.
No, but that's a good sign, because at least the purchasing power is increasing in our end. If our population is increasing, that only means our voting power should therefore be significant. And next year is the election year. Not to get political, but we, in a sense, voting power definitely points a direction on how economics grows for us. So if we're the largest population in Cali, there's no reason why we should not have representation in the office next year.
That's
or any kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's a huge voting power, but just throwing that out there.
That's a big one. Talking about the economy as well, I kind of wanted to shine a little bit of light on another statistic. Today's episode is going to be filled with stats. Right?
Yeah.
Filled with stats, filled with articles. We definitely did our research on this one. And a cool one that I actually read was that Latinos have represented a significant segment in the U.S. economy. Right? So roughly 80% of all businesses were actually created by Latinos.
Nice.
Right?
All
right. Pre-pandemic time, Latino-owned business owners were generating roughly $460 billion in annual revenue and employing roughly 2.9 workers. And that was a stat brought to you guys by Stanford Latino Entrepreneurship Initiative.
Well, that's interesting too. Then, so if a lot more Latinos are going into business, what is something that we just had yesterday regarding business owners that were affected during COVID? Now they're getting free money through a program called ERC.
Right.
If this many people are Latino and they're going into business, perhaps they feel that they don't qualify for ERC. Maybe they feel that they don't even know about it too. So what ERC is, Pablo, would you be able to talk to them about it?
Yeah, so I mean, we definitely talked about it on the last couple episodes ago with Natty Lopez. She came on, she broke it down, but really in general, if you haven't seen that episode, the ERC is known as Employer Retention Credit, and essentially it is relief credit, kind of works similarly to a grant. However, you don't need to pay it back, but it's still taxable income for that year. But essentially, business owners that had a business in 2020, 2021 during the pandemic that were affected, right? They had to have at least minimum of 2 employees on W-2, right, payroll. But they could get up to $26,000 of relief credit for their businesses. So obviously, you know, we've met with a couple of business owners. We've met several business owners.
We met we met a great gentleman, the owner of
701 Restaurant
701 in Santa Ana. He's also, there's another location too.
Yeah, there's a few.
Popping spot. If you're in Santa Ana, make sure you go there, especially at nighttime. 701.
Ray will be on the podcast too.
Ray's gonna be on the podcast. So, if you're in Santa Ana looking for a good time and you're with your chick or with your family, if you want good food during the day, you take your family. If you want a good time with your lady, you take her at night. But 701 is the place to go.
Y si quieren ir en la noche para pistear?
701. That's a promo.
That's a promo.
That's a promo. That's free, Ray. Just because you're my boy. But yeah, no, he did ERC. And he has a great story too, and he's an entrepreneur from Sinaloa. So that's someone that is right up our alley, you know, of what we're talking about.
Yeah, and it's leveraging. I mean, understand what he did, right, is that, yes, he opened up during those times of COVID. Obviously, a lot of business owners kind of struggled during that time, but he was able to get educated, and he turned around, opened up another restaurant. And, bro, if you guys pull up if you're in Southern California, if you're in the Santa Ana area, Orange County area, go check it out. I mean, the food is amazing. Daisy, one of our good friends, just had an event there last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
and it's a beautiful space. And there's also like a club on the other side.
Sick spot too. Yeah. I mean, one thing I could take away from him that he talked about with us, in terms of family, is important, and always be able to hold your own ground. And then he talked about leadership. That was big. Leadership, discussing about if you're gonna be the general, be able to do the work of the soldiers. That way you could lead from within. And he talked about sweeping next to his employees. He talked about staying late. On Saturday night, he's picking up the bottles. Things that probably go unnoticed to the naked eye, but if you're working for him, if you're under him, you notice those little things. And what's the quote that you said the other day, bro, that kind of employees only take like 50% of what you do or something like that?
Yeah, so as a leader, we have to understand that, you know, when you have a team and you're quote unquote the leader of the team, is that your people are going to do 50% of what you do right, and they're going to do 200% of what you do wrong, right? So especially as leaders in leadership positions, we have to make sure that we're leading by example. You know, growing up, obviously, you know my story, bro. I went to a military school, and we used to say, you know, leadership makes a difference, and true leaders lead by example, right? So you never want to be following a leader that's hypocritical. I'm not going to when do I ever tell you guys something that I don't do myself, right? I think that's a big nugget. And when we were talking to Ray over at 701 Restaurant, you know, the owner, and he was telling us, like, you know, you'll catch him out there on a Saturday night, you know, sweeping, busting the tables, you know, taking food out to the guests and stuff like that. You know, as an employee, I would probably be sitting there saying, man, like, this guy's not scared to get his hands dirty.
For sure.
You know, and that's really big, especially when it comes to, you know, leadership positions. And obviously, as Latino, we want to shine a lot of light on Latino leaders and entrepreneurs. I mean, that's a really big one.
I mean, and I think that's why it's big, because at least growing up, you know, you're not really familiar with too many Latino role models who are doing it big. Just because they're not really highlighting in the media. You know, in the media, if we're ever portrayed, it's really against us crossing the border, us committing a crime, or in gangs. So in reality, what this is now becoming is highlighting people who are in our community, who are entrepreneurs, who are leaders that are probably not getting a lot of light. So if you know anybody like that, that would be a great position for a referral for us, because now you're not only are you shining light for them, but now you're shining light for possibly that young kid who's listening to us right now and actually thinking to himself, man, I think I could do it. You know, if that makes sense.
That's a big one too, bro. And just shining light on that too is that we got to understand that Latino culture is one of the fastest growing ethnic groups in the United States today, right? Mm-hmm. And when we start talking about that, we got to understand, like, if we're leading the world currently in entrepreneurship, starting businesses, you know, population, at some point, as long as this trajectory continues to go up, we have to understand that we're going to be placed in these leadership positions. Mm-hmm. So, you know, these are things that we've even talked about with Francisco Jara, one of our other guests, right? Is that thing, and understanding that, you know, Latino or Hispanics, we have to do a better job of leading ourselves, right? We talked about that as well on the podcast with Miguel.
Leading yourself So does that mean like owning your own word or becoming like what do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, well, what we talked about was if you can't lead yourself, you can't lead others. So
Yeah.
what habits do we have as individuals? What habits and principles are we living by? What core values? The way I like to say is what core values am I living by?
Right.
Right? Because if I can't lead myself and my own core values, how do I expect to lead a business?
Gotcha.
Right? And one of the things that, again, I take it back to the gentleman that we met last week is he was able to lead himself, his family, right? Even through troubling times. Obviously, the story that he was sharing, I don't want to share too much, but that was a big one.
That was huge. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, leadership is huge, and that's something we're gonna have some coming up too. Is a workshop on leadership.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to bring it back to something going on right now where we're all kind of experiencing. Probably when this comes out, it's probably gonna be gone. But Coachella. Coachella is huge. It's a big music festival, and I just want to highlight some of the artists that are actually at Coachella right now, representing us. You know, Bad Bunny is headlining. That's huge. Bad Bunny. I don't know if you guys saw his intro, but his intro was iconic. It really showed bomba, which is like a Puerto Rican dance that my boy Aponte and Albi have introduced me to. It's huge in Puerto Rico, bro. But he performed that in the beginning, and then you had Becky G. He brought out Peso Pluma, right, as we were just listening to. He had Eladio Carillon, Puerto Rican. I think he's Dominican too. Yeah, Los Fabulosos, Cadillacs, Alina Lindas, Los Bichos, huge. La Conexión Divina. So you had our representation there.
Oh, my boy name dropping right now.
yeah, you know. So I just throw that out there just because I think the domination is huge. Reggaeton is probably one of the biggest, like it's taking over the billboards.
Oh, 100%, man. I mean, when we start talking about music culture and you know what people really want to, you know, be around. Let's keep it honest.
Everyone wants to be Latino.
You know, everyone wants to be around the Latin vibe. You know what I mean? I mean, we just had the Latin Hustle event this past Saturday, and
talk to us about that.
We probably had close to like 400 or 500 people there, and we had all sorts of ethnic groups showing up: Colombians, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Mexicans, Peruvians.
That was wild,
the list
though.
Goes on, bro.
And then Pablo was like, "Yo, so if you're from Cuba, you know, make some noise, bro." And everybody was making noise from their own respective country.
Yeah, it was awesome. And it's not one country versus another, but it's like showing pride for the Latino culture in general. You know what I mean?
I think it's bringing a commonality together. And at the end of the day, I think there's power in numbers. And I think by bringing people together in the community, as what we're trying to do right now, we could get more together done. What's that quote that you said? You could go so far alone, but
you could go fast alone, but you could go further with a team.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. And that's the part. I mean, that's the community we're bringing. So I think that's something that we're probably gonna implement at June 10th at our event is diversity between countries but we all share the same commonality of Latino.
Talk about the event a little bit, bro.
Man, I thought it was a great event, bro. Like kind of what you're saying. How many people we have in attendance? 200-300 people. It was awesome. We had, how many vendors did you have?
We estimated about 400 to 500 in attendance. We had about 30 sponsors and vendors.
There you go.
Yeah, it was massive, and there's definitely a lot of things that are gonna come from that.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have a little small financial planning seminar for Latino-owned businesses or Latinos in general that want to be educated on finances and setting themselves up and closing the wealth gap as well. I know there's some statistics that you kind of wanted to talk about as far as the wealth gap as well, right?
The wealth gap is huge. So let's talk first. Let's break it down definition. So net worth is assets minus liabilities. That's net worth. So when someone asks you what's your net worth, just take down your assets and then minus some of your liabilities. Liabilities are basically your debts. Assets are something that produces you income or that holds value. So if assets minus liabilities is your net worth, now breaking down the net worth between Latinos, well, you're looking at a net worth of $24,700. Compared to whites, it's $113,000. So you could only really see the difference because now you're looking at how much assets does one class have versus liabilities. Now, just off the rip, talking about liabilities from a personal experience, right? We get the troca, we get the parties. We got all the stuff that we do that we go on, all the debts that unfortunately we probably do collect. At the end of the day, we need to look at things that are producing us income. So a couple of things that have been launched recently that are producing income. One of the things that just came out the other day was an Apple savings account. Apple savings account is now giving you 4.15% on the savings account.
Sheesh.
That's a big amount, bro.
Park my money in there.
That's huge.
That's huge.
And how many people own an Apple iPhone? I got one right now.
I got a couple. I got a couple Apple products.
You got 2 phones, bro?
Bro, I don't know. Shout out to my boy Ian. He's on that Apple game.
Hey, that's right. That's right. Yeah, he is though. He is. So that's just one thing that we
Apple
could implement
stock all
today.
day.
Apple and Microsoft, huh? Yeah, but that's just something that we could walk away with right now. That we could all implement.
I mean, you got to think about, right? Like, what's your average savings account generating? I mean, we talk about this all the time.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we do.
0.1, maybe 0.01, 0.02, maybe.
Maybe,
right?
yeah. I'm at Chase, so
okay.
I probably get like 0.
I ain't gonna give away mine, but
yeah.
no, I'm at Chase as well. But you got to understand, like, if now we're having the opportunity to get, what is it, 4.1?
It said 4.1.
Yeah, 4.1%.
I don't know for how long,
interest,
but yeah.
right? For who knows how long. That might change.
Yeah, of course.
Right? We
yeah,
got to look at the statistics on that.
Yeah.
Or the details on that. But you got to imagine, like, if you're now having the opportunity to get 4.1% in interest on money that's just sitting there, that's almost like a no-brainer. I don't know about you guys, but you also want to look at the credibility of it, right? Ian talks about all the time is look at the credibility and the credentials of the companies that you're investing into. Also look at, how liquid are they, right? Apple has billions and billions and billions of dollars in liquid assets, right?
Yeah.
So when we're parking money at like Chase or something like that, I mean, we talk about it, with insurance companies, for example, right? For every $1 we place in our savings account, JP Morgan could actually lend out roughly 8 to 9 times.
That's
right?
huge.
For every dollar that we place inside of an insurance company, they have to have 4 or 5 in reserves, right?
So you're
now
saying
if I'm putting money inside of Apple, for example, how much liquid assets do they have?
And what is their reserves? Like?
And what are the reserves? Yeah,
what are they
reserves
holding?
like?
Yeah.
What are they holding?
Great
so that's
point.
a big
Great
one,
point, bro. Yeah.
right? So, I mean, this is information for anybody.
Yeah.
Right? Where are you saving your money? Where are you investing your money? Are these companies liquid? Do they have, liquid assets, or are they cash flowing? Are they credible companies?
That does remind me to a point. So let's make this a little segment. Questions that we get on a daily basis, being in the financial sector, being around people who are great role models to us. What are questions that we get on a daily basis? And one of the questions that I've gotten a lot recently has been, well, what if the insurance company goes under? I think that comes from all these banks.
I got to give a shout out to my boy Nick on this one. He used to say, he says all the time, well, we could play the what if game all day.
Yeah.
Right? What if this, what if that, but what if your bank goes underwater?
And they have. Right, we saw what happened with Silicon Bank.
Exactly.
Right, we saw with a couple other ones. I forgot.
A lot of banks are going under.
Yeah.
So my question is, where do you think your money's safer? Somewhere where they're actually lending out money the minute you put it in, or somewhere where they have to have money in reserves?
So explain the reserve in case it went over someone's head.
Yeah. So basically, in reserves, I'll break it down like this: is that just imagine you give me $1.
Okay.
Right. Or imagine you gave me $100.
Right.
Right. You give me, you're like, Pablo, here, I'm going to give you $100.
Yeah.
Now, because you gave me $100, I could go lend out $800.
So, wow.
Versus now you saying, hey, Pablo, I'm going to give you $100. But instead of me lending that money out, I got to have about $400 or $500 in reserves to back up your money.
So is that a law that insurance companies have to have?
Yeah, so that's actually something that insurance companies are regulated. So insurance companies have to have, because you got to understand, like, a lot of times these insurance companies are promising a death benefit.
That's true.
Right? So if they don't have the money to pay out a death benefit, then obviously they just wouldn't be in business.
Yeah, they wouldn't be in business.
You get what I'm saying? So there are regulations in place. Now, what are the odds of an insurance company going underwater?
Close to zero.
I'll be honest. It's going to be I'm not going to say not. It's not possible, because people will hold me to that if one insurance company goes underwater. But we got to understand, like, companies go out of business all the time. So if you're looking at insurance companies and you're in the market for that, one of the questions that maybe you could respond with is, well, for example, a company like a company that I like to use, National Life Group, has been around since the late 1800s.
Right.
Right. So they've been around for a good amount of times through pandemics, recessions, multiple recessions, markets,
multiple depressions.
Yeah, all that stuff. So they've been around. They've been credible.
There you go.
Right. So the credibility, it shouldn't necessarily be a problem.
Another question I've been getting to is when I'm talking with the client, and let's say, for example, they want to start an IUL, which is basically a retirement plan that you could do. It supplements basically a savings account that you have in your bank, and you get a higher rate of return on your money on an IUL. So one of the questions that I've been getting is, well, what happens to you? What if you go under, like the financial architects, or what happens to you? And I'm like, that's a big one. I get a little flattered though. I'm like, man, I would be so awesome that you're even sitting here thinking about investing your money like directly. Like I'd be holding it.
Yeah.
I tell them I'm not the one holding it. I just do marketing for the companies like NLG, AIG, Prudential,
Pac Life,
yeah. all of them, right? You invest your money into the life insurance company. I'm just doing the marketing and teaching the financial education towards it. So that's one question I get. I actually just got that yesterday. That's why.
Yeah, I think a lot of times people will think that they're investing their money in us. They're not investing their money in us.
However,
they're trusting us.
It's important. Yeah,
they're trusting us. Yeah. That's a big one.
That's a big,
and that's one of the reasons
nugget.
why we wanted to launch this podcast is you guys could start to understand a little bit about who we are and what we stand for.
So what makes a good financial representative? Because you're right. There's a ton of, just how there's a ton of nurses, just how there's a ton of people who are trainers at a gym. Doesn't mean they're all cut by the same cloth.
Yeah.
So same thing in our field, right? What makes a good financial strategist? What makes a good financial planner? Someone who teaches about finances?
I think what makes a good financial strategist is somebody that's transparent, somebody that, I'll be honest, does not have all the answers. Because if you're sitting there in front of somebody and they're giving you answer after answer after answer,
sounds like a sales guy.
It almost sounds like a sales guy. You know,
I'll
be the first to tell my clients, hey, if I don't know something, give me 24 hours. I'm going to come back and I'm going to find out. Because the funny thing about our industry is that we don't know everything. You can never know everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so many different factors that go into building a family or an entrepreneur's or a business owner's plan.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so many different things that we could look at it. Right? Is it stocks? Is it bonds? Is it a 401k? Is it, long-term care? Is it life insurance? Is it real estate holdings? Is it cryptocurrency? There's so many different factors that go into a portfolio, right? We only cover a small portion of that major portfolio.
But you educate on all of it.
We educate on a lot of them.
Yeah.
Right? And at the same time, what's going on currently? Right? That's a major indicator as well. Right? We talk about 3 different ways your money grows, right? Fixed, variable, index.
Yeah.
Right? So for example,
can you give some examples?
A variable type of investment strategy could be a 401k. It could be even real estate. It could be cryptocurrency, traditional and Roth IRAs.
Okay. Fixed. No, sorry, I don't want to cut you off because I want you to go off on that.
So for example, this is actually really good information. Is that, like, for example, a fixed strategy could be like the new Apple savings, right? They're going to guarantee a 4.1% rate of return fixed, right? No matter what the market does. Okay. A variable type of investment strategy could be like real estate, right? My real estate property could be worth $1 million today. Maybe in the next year or two, it could be worth $800,000. Right. And then an index, kind of like an index universal life or an index annuity, as the market goes up, your investment goes up. If it takes a dump, it doesn't take a dump. It goes sideways. You get what I'm saying? So those are the 3 different ways we like to say that your money could potentially grow, or investment strategies, however you want to, put language to it. But that's essentially what that means. That
kind of reminds me of diversification, because now you're really kind of diversifying your money on how it grows. And then one thing that I do want to talk about as another last, I guess I like this segment, but I feel like we should keep it going.
Segment. Yeah.
It's like questions that we get on a daily basis. And the other day I got, what is the S&P 500? Like, and these are just things that we feel like, because it's our lingo, it's our jargon, but someone may not. And I totally respect it. Because, for example, even when Miguel, like when he was telling me what a chado is, I'd ask my mom. She told me.
I learned what a chado is the other day.
I was, shit.
When I went, I was on a horse. You should have seen me, bro.
Yeah, there's a picture on his IG on that.
But yeah, a lot of times we don't know, and to break it down for people that don't know what the S&P 500 is it's the Standard & Poor's 500, right? Fortune 500 companies on Wall Street, companies like Meta, Amazon, Google, Nike, all these major companies.
Really just look at what you're wearing.
Yeah. So pretty
What
much
you have.
freaking 500 biggest companies that you could potentially think about.
Yeah.
And instead of investing into just Nike or just Google, you're investing into an index, right, of all of these companies.
The example I used when I was explaining to her was, think of a burrito. Think of the burrito, and inside the burrito, right? What's in the last burrito I ate was a pastor, right? So I had a pastor, I had rice, I had beans, I had aguacate, I had salsa, right? You have all these items in a burrito. Each item is a company. Now just picture there's being 500 items in that burrito wrap. That's basically the S&P 500 allocation.
Well, you can, but
so now the burrito goes up, the burrito goes down, but you're investing into all these ingredients.
Yeah. What's the chances of all 500 companies going to zero?
Exactly. I think the statistic was like the average rate of return on the S&P in the past 30 years is around like 8 to 9%.
That's big. That's big.
So
well, I kind of want to transition too, though, is that like, because obviously we opened up with Latinos, right? Empowering and educating the Latino community. Is that, how many of us as Latinos are being educated on something as simple as that?
Right.
Right. Are we taking and putting ourselves in the environments? Are we surrounding ourselves with the education to be able to make proper financial decisions, not only for our businesses, but for our families?
Exactly.
Right. For our businesses and for our families.
Talking about Latinos, and I do want to highlight one company. And do you mind if I get the floor for like a minute? I want to give a definition.
It's all you.
So there's this book. It's called Powernomics. It's going to be right here on the bottom. Powernomics was written by Dr. Claude Anderson. It's a great book. You're going to have to read it. But he talks about vertical integration. Vertical integration, by definition, by him, is ownership and control of multiple stages of production and distribution within a single industry or supply chain. Basically, by having vertical integration, it allows you to have complete control over the production, the manufacture, the maintenance, everything of a business. All right, I said a lot. So, for example,
break it down.
For example, have you ate bimbo? You know the little gancitos?
Yeah.
You know gancitos, right? We'll put that right here too. The gancitos gonna be fire. Everyone's ate those. So Bimbo is an example of a company that has complete vertical integration. So Bimbo was founded in Mexico City in 1945 by a businessman named Lorenzo. And right now it's the largest bakery company in the world by revenue. The reason why it's vertical integration is because it not only produces bread, but it also produces its own flour, so how you make the bread. It also owns its own transportation fleet, so the transportation from the flour to the manufacturer has its own distribution channels, meaning it owns its own marketing platform, its own channels of stores and things like that. But this really allows the company to control every aspect of production and distribution process from the sourcing materials. That's complete vertical integration, meaning no one can mess with you. If you don't have vertical integration, if someone messes up with your flour, now you can't make your bread. But that's complete vertical integration.
And they're keeping everything in-house.
Everything is them. Yeah, everything is them. So
that's everything. And I'm assuming they're all Latino owned.
I don't know. We don't know that.
I almost got to assume that.
Well, we hope so.
We hope so, right?
So
because we talk about Powernomics.
Yeah. We talk about, So that's an example of vertical integration. One that we all have, though, is Amazon. Amazon is the same thing. Basically, it controls the transportation, the logistics, the shipping, everything like that.
That's big, man. I mean, talk about just Latino entrepreneurship in general, right? Another statistic is that Hispanics are roughly 1.7 more likely to start a business than any other demographic groups, right? Representing one of the fastest growing segments in the small business ecosystem, right? This is making Latino entrepreneurship one of the fastest growing sectors in ethnic groups. I know I continue to say that, but this is just something 1.7 times more likely to start a business.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we talk about America being the greatest country, right? And we talk about this being the land of the free. I mean, everybody wants to come here to the United States. Why? Right. Because this is a land of opportunity, right? We were watching a video last night, the one that you sent me, and it was saying that people in America are trying to create a 4-day work week.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
But they want to make more money.
Right.
But when you get other demographics, Indians, Hispanics, Asians, African, whoever it is, bro, we come here and we're like 6-7 days a week.
Yeah. We come here to work. We want to
come here to work, right? So when we talk about the future and where we're headed, I mean, Latinos here, bro, like we'll take our day, to go to misa or to go to church or service on Sunday.
Right.
But Sunday night, best believe we're prepping for the next day.
So,
and we're working all day Saturday.
And let's talk about that too. So what's a good way that we could walk away with right now as we're like wrapping up? But what's something that they could walk away with on Sundays that you talk about Hour of Power that we implement here?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really big one. Something that I do personally, and we talk about
you shared
it all the time, right? Is something I do every single Sunday is I do something called an Hour of Power. I have a 1 hour meeting with myself every Sunday night, and then I hit the gym. What do I ask myself in that 1 hour meeting? I ask myself, who do I need to follow up with? Who do I need to get in contact with this week? Number 2 is what tasks do I have to get done, right? I have it on my checklist this week that I have to go get my oil change done, right? I have little things that I have payroll. I have different things that I have to get done, right? Who, what, where? Where am I going to be this week? If it's not calendared, it's not going to be done. This was on our calendar already. We have a grand opening tonight in the city of Upland, right? Different events that we have. Where am I going to be, right? Where am I going to meet my next client? Where am I going to meet my next opportunity, right? So who, what, where, when? When am I going to be there, right? Very similar to like the where, but the when is like a timeline, right? When am I going to accomplish these things? And then the biggest one is the why, right? Why am I doing this? You have to understand your purpose and why you're doing something. And those are the things that I do every Sunday night. And then I hit the gym and I get my mind right.
That's what's up. Yeah, man. I mean, God helps those who help themselves. If you're not helping yourself, then where you at? But obviously, if you're listening, you're helping yourself. So just best believe that blessings are coming your way. If we're talking about businesses and Latinos are more likely to open up businesses, and we know the struggles that come with entrepreneurship, and it could be a lonely road, especially when maybe your family, doesn't really probably support your decision because you're taking the road less traveled. But oftentimes that is the one that's most rewarded in the long run.
Has there ever been a time, bro, and I kind of want to ask you a question because I think a lot of people in our ethnicity kind of deal with this, is that, for example, when I was starting my first business, I had, an uncle that was like, why would you ever start a fitness business? Who's going to train with you? Right? And so many times, like, people look at us or maybe sometimes it's even our own family that discourage us from wanting to start a business, right? And I know that that's something big in the Latino culture that I am hoping we change,
right?
Is instead of shooting down our ideas of our primos and primas or our kids, is empowering them to do it, right? And I am starting to see that change a lot more, right? But has there ever been a time maybe that, not to put you on the spot or anything like that, but like stories that maybe you've heard of people being discouraged to start a business?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really think of anybody else, but I mean, I'll talk about my personal experience. I mean, it's always come. So with me, I was always pushed to go to school. So I went to school. I got my bachelor's in nursing, and I was doing nursing. I still am doing nursing, by the way, but I don't work my 4 or 5 days a week or 12-hour shifts because I know long term, no disrespect, but if you look at people who are basically financially free, most of them have their own business or they're their own entrepreneur. So in terms of me, I think ahead and I'm like, all right, well, I love nursing, but for me, I know that I got to take the road less traveled. And given that being said, in the family where they ask me like, what am I doing? Why am I not going to work? I always get shamed on in terms of like, well, I should be working. What? That's the most stable job. Why would you like let that go when people are actually making a lot more money nursing than I have been in the beginning of my entrepreneurship? But I had to realize that delayed gratification is one of the keys to success.
That's
and
big.
And now, I'm starting to see the fruits of my labor come to fruition. And it really just comes from really believing in yourself when no one does. And that's something I've always told myself too, is if you don't believe in yourself, then who will? Because at the end of the day, you is all you got. When people may be with you for a moment, and then people may not be with you depending on who you are, but at the end of the day, one thing won't change is that you got you. So you got to be able to have your 10 toes down and be able to hold it down for yourself. And talking about the hour power, I think it's important to always spend time alone. Like, be able to meditate, just turn off the phone, don't talk to no one, have your own voice, because that own voice at the end of the day is going to save you from a lot of your insecurities, a lot of your downfalls, a lot of your worries, because you have to be your biggest supporter, not your biggest enemy.
I used to have a friend tell me, you got to be your biggest hype man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's big, bro. And shout out to everything that you're doing as a Latino healthcare worker, but also as a Latino entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that that's something real big, because you're holding it down for, you may not know this, but you're holding it down for your future kids, the legacy that you're going to leave. And you're doing the work, man. So shout out to everything that you're doing, bro.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Super proud of you on that.
Same here, bro.
100%, bro. And again, we wanted to shine a lot of light on Latinos. You know, la comunidad latina es algo muy grande. Y queremos también, pues, empoderar a las personas latinas para que sepan y tengan la educación, no nada más de las finanzas, pero también cosas que pueden hacer para empoderar a su familia, a su empleado, diferentes programas que hay ahí. Y también que sepan la gente que nosotros, que Armando y yo también hablamos español. También los podemos ayudar con todo lo que viene de financia, empresaricia. I think that's how you say it, entrepreneurship.
I think so. I haven't learned that word yet.
Se me enreda el español, but you guys get it. And also know, speaking about being bilingual, 55% of Latinos are fully bilingual. I don't know if you knew that.
Damn.
So 55, I don't know if I'll fall in the fully bilingual. I do. I could read and write it as well and speak it. 27% are English dominant. That might be us. 19% are Spanish dominant. And the reason I dropped those stats is because if you speak Spanish or you speak another language, you are a major asset to your business and your organization.
That's facts.
Being bilingual, I remember my mom telling me growing up, being bilingual, I used to hate it, but my mom used to tell me, you're going to learn Spanish. I'm actually ESL. English was my second language.
Oh, wow.
Right? So Spanish was actually my first language. I didn't learn English until I was like in kindergarten. And now I look back and I'm like, man, when I have kids, the first language that my kids are going to speak is going to be Spanish, because
that's right.
Now it's like we're going to speak Spanish in the house, because they bring, like, look at us, bro. We could bring value not only to our country here in the US, right?
Yeah.
People that speak English, which is the leading language, but also Spanish.
La gente latina.
Para la gente latina.
Sí.
You know what I'm saying?
Y verdad, pues, ¿cuántos países tenemos que hablan español? ¿Verdad? Tenemos demasiados. Tenemos, pues, toda Latinoamérica, Sudamérica, y tenemos las islas también, pues, de Cuba, de Puerto Rico y todo eso.
Dominicana.
So, en verdad, va a ser interesante cómo nosotros vamos a crecer con la gente latina, porque en verdad, yo sé que muchas veces no nos van a escuchar, porque una de las cosas que ellos no van a ver, y yo veo esto también, es que, pues, uno, estamos jóvenes. Eso es la edad es algo que ellos van a mirar también. So, es algo que vamos a necesitar a mirar, pues, si nosotros venimos de un lado de nada más ayudar, pues, how could you hate on that?
Yeah.
Right? Y eso es lo que ojalá que van a ver, pero a soportarnos y ayudarnos pues, a crecer con la gente, porque últimamente, pues, nosotros estamos por la raza y en verdad nos gusta que la gente que está creciendo, y ahorita tenemos mucha gente latinos que son amigos que están creciendo mucho.
Claro que sí. Muchísima.
Mm-hmm. Like a toast to life, two Latinos blowing up huge, and that's good to see. Like, that's awesome.
Cuando estamos hablando de edad, la edad normal que la gente que están trabajando aquí en los Estados Unidos es 29.8 años.
¿Cuando ya piensan a trabajar?
Yeah.
Cabrón.
Okay.
No, yo empecé a trabajar como a los 15 años.
No, yo sé, pero this is like the average.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
So the average age, the medium age is 29.8. Okay? Approximately, Latino people start working 8 years younger.
A no-brainer, bro.
So the Latino culture actually starts working 8 years younger than the average age of people in America working.
Yeah, bro, si no estaba trabajando, ¿sabes qué estaba haciendo? Mi papá me puso atrás.
Pisteando.
No, pisteando. mi papá me puso atrás y estaba haciendo hoyos, cortando el zacate I was like, hell, I'm gonna get a job. I'm not gonna do this.
That's a big one. But yeah, man, I mean, you start thinking about all these little statistics, all these little things. Again, we just kind of wanted to shine light on, you know, just the Latino culture, Latino, you know, ethnicity and ways that we're growing not only in finance and entrepreneurship, but also in the world of leadership.
Huge.
And all that good stuff. Any closing thoughts, bro, that you have?
I'm getting a lot of thoughts about for our June 10th. I feel like we should give out nuggets, like some sick nuggets, and make it's gonna be fun. Actually, I'm thinking of some
you guys will
sick
definitely
ways.
see a lot more content on that event. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, obviously Armando's Instagram, my Instagram. However, we are trying to grow the Educate and Elevate media company.
Yeah, give that a shout out.
Give it a shout out, guys. Please help us grow this media platform.
That's gonna be coming though. I think that's gonna be popping soon. Yeah.
Little by little, it'll
lit.
definitely start to blossom. But as always, you know, just want to let you guys know that we really do appreciate you guys for all the love, support, and you know, just sticking behind Armando and I, and yeah, we're excited for what's to come.
Oh yeah, we're gonna keep pushing. And summer's coming too, so summer gets popping.
Yeah, you guys
so
already know.
Fun.
We'll party or something? Yeah, we'll see.
Who knows? You know, we'll talk.
Educate and Elevate
Educate,
Beach
Elevate.
Day. Damn. All right. Be on the lookout for
guys.
that. Let us know down in the comments below if you guys want to come up to that. But as always, if nobody loves you, Pablo and Armando love you. We'll see you guys on the next episode.
Bam. Peace.